The insult that reveals who you really are. A man disrespects you in front of other people. Maybe he cuts you off while you are speaking. Maybe he mocks your opinion with a sarcastic smile. Maybe he treats you as if your presence means nothing. In seconds, your entire body changes. Your breathing becomes heavier. Your thoughts become aggressive. Your mind begins preparing answers, defenses, attacks. And without noticing it, you are no longer in control of yourself. Another person has entered your mind and started commanding your emotions like a puppeteer pulling invisible strings. Most people never realize this is happening. They think the real problem is the insult itself. They think disrespect is what destroys their peace. But Seneca taught something brutal about human nature. The insult is rarely the thing that breaks a person. What breaks a person is their inability to govern their own internal world once the insult arrives. That changes the entire meaning of disrespect. Because now the battle is no longer happening outside you. It is happening inside your own mind. Look at how easily people lose themselves today. A single comment ruins their mood. One moment of rejection destroys their confidence. A stranger's opinion controls their entire emotional state for hours, sometimes days. People walk through life believing they are free while emotionally reacting to everything around them like leaves being carried by the wind. They call it personality. They call it honesty. They call it defending themselves. But most of the time, it is simply emotional slavery disguised as strength. Seneca understood something most people still refuse to understand centuries later. Whoever controls your emotions controls you. It does not matter how intelligent you are, how physically strong you are, or how respected you appear to be. If another human being can provoke anger, desperation, insecurity, or emotional chaos inside you whenever they choose, then your inner world does not belong to you. It belongs to anyone who knows how to manipulate your reactions. This is why emotionally reactive people are so easy to control. The world understands your weak points long before you do. Manipulative people study emotional patterns. They observe your tone, your body language, your need to be understood, your need to be respected, your need to win every argument. And once they discover what disturbs your peace, they can move you emotionally whenever they want. That is why some people provoke others intentionally. They are not searching for truth. They are searching for reactions. They throw disrespect like bait into the water, waiting for insecure minds to bite. The moment you explode emotionally, you surrender your power to them. The moment you lose self-control, they stop seeing you as strong and start seeing you as predictable. This is why calm people create discomfort in emotional people. A calm person cannot be easily manipulated. A calm person forces others to face themselves. A calm person breaks the psychological game because they refuse to emotionally participate in it. And this is exactly what terrified weak men about the Stoics. Stoicism was never about becoming emotionless. It was about becoming sovereign over yourself. It was about developing a mind so disciplined that insults, humiliation, rejection, and disrespect could no longer pull you away from your center. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations Book 6, Paragraph 6 that the best revenge against harmful people is refusing to become like them. That idea is far deeper than most people understand. Because when somebody insults you and you immediately respond with rage, hatred, bitterness, or desperation, they have already transformed you into a reflection of their own chaos. Most people spend their lives trying to force others to respect them. The Stoic learns something different. Respect that depends on external validation is fragile. Real power appears when your peace no longer depends on applause, approval, recognition, or the opinions of unstable people. And here's the uncomfortable truth. The insults that hurt you most are usually connected to insecurities you have never fully confronted within yourself. That is why two people can hear the exact same disrespectful words and react completely differently. One collapses emotionally while the other remains untouched. The words were identical. The internal structure was not. This is why mastering your mind is one of the highest forms of strength a human being can develop. Because the world will constantly test you. People will misunderstand you, mock you, underestimate you, provoke you, humiliate you. Some will do it out of envy, others out of insecurity. others simply because chaos is the only language they know. But the person who learns to remain emotionally grounded in the middle of disrespect becomes almost impossible to break. And very few people on earth know how to deal with someone they cannot emotionally control. The invisible trap of seeking respect. Most people spend their entire lives chasing respect without realizing they are actually chasing approval. There is a difference, and that difference changes everything. Approval makes you dependent. Respect is a consequence. But the modern world trained people to confuse the two. That is why so many become emotionally exhausted trying to prove their value to individuals who were never capable of recognizing it in the first place. Look carefully at human behavior. The moment someone feels ignored, they start talking louder. The moment they feel underestimated, they begin trying to impress others. The moment they feel disrespected, they desperately defend themselves, explain themselves, justify themselves. And without noticing it, they place their emotional stability in the hands of strangers. This is the invisible trap. The more you need people to acknowledge your worth, the more power you give them over your emotions. A person addicted to validation becomes psychologically fragile because their peace depends on external reactions they cannot control. One compliment lifts them emotionally. One criticism destroys them emotionally. Their identity changes according to the opinions surrounding them. Seneca warned about this emotional dependence in Letters from a Stoic, Letter 9, when he explained that the wise person builds strength within himself instead of begging the world for confirmation. Because the world is unstable, people are unstable. Human opinions change constantly according to envy, insecurity, ego, mood, status, and convenience. If your confidence depends on unstable people, your inner world will always remain unstable too. And this is why many individuals unknowingly humiliate themselves while trying to earn respect. They over-explain. They seek acceptance in every room. They fear disagreement. They become emotionally disturbed whenever somebody dislikes them. But true authority never behaves this way. Real strength does not chase recognition. It radiates naturally through emotional control, silence, composure, and self-respect. Psychology understands this deeply. People tend to value what appears emotionally secure and independent. The person constantly trying to prove their worth unconsciously communicates insecurity. Meanwhile, the individual who remains calm without needing validation creates psychological weight in every environment they enter. That is why desperate people rarely receive genuine respect. Desperation destroys presence. And here is the contradiction most people never understand. The more you try to force others to respect you, the less respect you usually receive. Because emotional neediness is visible. People can feel it in your tone, your reactions, your explanations, your anger, even in your silence. This is why Stoicism teaches emotional self-sufficiency. Not isolation, not arrogance, self-sufficiency. The ability to remain internally stable whether people praise you or reject you, whether they understand you or misunderstand you, whether they applaud your presence or completely ignore it. The person who reaches this state becomes dangerous in a quiet way. Because now manipulation loses its power. Insults lose their emotional effect. Rejection loses its ability to destroy self-worth. And once a person no longer needs external approval to feel valuable, something unexpected begins to happen. People start respecting them naturally. Why calm people terrify the disrespectful? Have you noticed how certain people become uncomfortable when they cannot emotionally provoke you? The moment they realize you will not react with anger, desperation, or insecurity, something inside them changes. Their confidence weakens. Their behavior becomes unstable. Sometimes they even intensify the disrespect because your calmness is frustrating the psychological control they hope to achieve. Most people think disrespect comes from strength. In reality, a large amount of disrespect comes from emotional weakness. Many individuals provoke others because they need reactions to feel significant. They need to see emotional damage in someone else to temporarily escape the chaos inside themselves. This is why emotionally unstable people are constantly testing boundaries. They interrupt, mock, humiliate, dismiss, criticize, not always because they hate you, but because they are unconsciously searching for emotional dominance. They want proof that they can enter your mind and disturb your peace. And sadly, most people surrender immediately. The moment someone raises their voice, they raise theirs louder. The moment someone attacks their ego, they rush to defend themselves. Their emotions become completely controlled by the emotional atmosphere around them. Instead of governing their internal world, they become mirrors reflecting the behavior of others. But calm people operate differently. A calm person creates psychological uncertainty. Their silence cannot be easily interpreted. Their emotions remain disciplined. Their reactions are measured instead of impulsive. And this becomes deeply intimidating for emotionally manipulative individuals, because manipulation depends on predictability. When somebody knows exactly how you will react, controlling you becomes easy. Seneca understood this better than most modern thinkers. In On Anger Book 2, Chapter 10, he explained that anger gives temporary satisfaction while simultaneously weakening judgment. The emotional person feels powerful in the moment, but loses clarity, dignity, and control over their own decisions. This is why calmness is not weakness. Calmness is restraint under pressure. A calm person still notices disrespect. They still recognize humiliation. They still understand hostility. The difference is that they refuse to surrender control of themselves in order to emotionally satisfy another person. And this creates a strange effect in social situations. The loudest person in the room often expects emotional resistance. They expect fear, anger, or submission. But when they encounter someone emotionally grounded, the entire psychological dynamic changes. Suddenly, their insults lose force. Their provocations lose direction. Their emotional hooks find nothing to attach themselves to. That silence becomes heavy. That composure becomes unsettling. Because deep down, emotionally reactive people know something they rarely admit. Anyone can lose control. Few people can maintain control when they are emotionally attacked, and the human mind instinctively respects what it cannot emotionally dominate. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, Book 7, paragraph 52, that the tranquility of a disciplined mind cannot be shaken by external chaos unless it chooses to surrender itself. That is why Stoic calmness carries power. It comes from internal discipline, not performance. Most people spend years training their appearance while neglecting their emotional endurance. But life eventually exposes everyone. Pressure reveals character. Disrespect reveals emotional maturity. Conflict reveals who truly governs their own mind. And the person who remains calm while others lose themselves emotionally becomes impossible to ignore. Because calmness under pressure is one of the rarest forms of strength in the modern world. The moment you become easy to manipulate. There is a precise moment when a person becomes emotionally vulnerable to manipulation. It is not when they are insulted. It is not when they are criticized. It happens the instant they lose control over their internal reactions. That is the moment another person gains access to their mind. Most manipulation is not physical. It is emotional. People discover your emotional weak points and begin controlling your behavior through them. Some use guilt. Others use rejection. Others use disrespect, silence, humiliation, sarcasm, or disapproval. The method changes, but the objective remains the same. They want emotional influence over your decisions, your mood, your confidence, and your sense of identity. And impulsive people make this process easy. The moment somebody reacts without thinking, they reveal themselves completely. Anger exposes insecurity. Desperation exposes attachment. The need to immediately defend yourself exposes fear of judgment. Emotional explosions reveal exactly where another person can continue applying pressure. This is why wise people observe before reacting. They understand something dangerous about human behavior. Not every attack deserves a response. Not every insult deserves energy. Not every opinion deserves emotional access to your inner world. But emotionally impulsive individuals cannot tolerate discomfort. They feel an immediate need to answer, correct, prove, defend, explain, or retaliate. Their emotions become so loud that they lose the ability to see clearly. And once clarity disappears, manipulation becomes extremely easy. Seneca warned about this in On Anger, Book 1, Chapter 8, when he described anger as temporary madness. That description is more accurate than most people realize. A person dominated by emotional reaction stops thinking strategically. Their decisions become emotional instead of intelligent. They stop observing consequences. They stop governing themselves. And manipulative people know this very well. That is why some individuals intentionally provoke emotional reactions before negotiations, arguments, or confrontations. An emotionally unstable person becomes predictable. Once predictability appears, control becomes possible. Look carefully at how often this happens in everyday life. Somebody criticizes your value and suddenly you feel desperate to prove yourself. Somebody ignores you and now your peace disappears. Somebody disrespects you publicly and you immediately feel pressure to emotionally defend your image. At that moment, your emotions are no longer serving you. You are serving them. Stoicism teaches something radically different. The disciplined mind creates distance between stimulus and reaction. Instead of reacting immediately, the Stoic observes the emotional movement inside himself first. He studies his anger before obeying it. He examines his pride before defending it. He questions his emotional impulse before turning it into action. That pause changes everything. Because emotional control creates psychological freedom. When you stop reacting impulsively, people lose the ability to easily manipulate your state of mind. Their provocations become weaker. Their emotional games become visible. Their attempts to control your reactions stop producing results. And this creates frustration in emotionally manipulative individuals because they depend on emotional access to maintain influence. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations Book 8, paragraph 48, that the mind becomes colored by the thoughts it repeatedly accepts. That means every emotional reaction strengthens a pattern. Every impulsive response trains the mind to become even more emotionally dependent on external events. This is why self-control is not passive weakness. It is mental sovereignty. The person who governs his reactions governs himself. And the person who governs himself becomes extremely difficult to control. Silence as a form of power. Most people misunderstand silence because they confuse it with fear. They believe that if someone does not immediately defend themselves, argue, or retaliate, it means weakness. But Stoicism teaches a completely different truth. Not every silence is submission. Some silences are forms of control. There are people who speak constantly because they are emotionally uncomfortable with stillness. They need to explain themselves all the time. They need to react to every criticism, answer every insult, correct every misunderstanding, and prove their value in every conversation. Their words are not always coming from wisdom. Many times they are coming from insecurity. A person at peace does not feel the same urgency. Seneca taught that emotional discipline begins when a person stops allowing external chaos to dictate internal behavior. That means silence is not about avoiding confrontation. It is about refusing to waste emotional energy where no real value exists. This becomes extremely powerful in moments of disrespect. When somebody insults you, they often expect immediate emotional participation. They want anger. They want frustration. They want visible discomfort. Your emotional reaction becomes proof that they successfully entered your mind. But when you remain composed instead of impulsive, something unexpected happens. The psychological dynamic changes completely. Now they are the uncomfortable one, because silence forces people to face themselves. An emotional person becomes disturbed when they cannot clearly read your state of mind. If they insult you and you instantly react, they understand they reached your emotions. But if you remain calm, observant, and emotionally grounded, uncertainty appears, and uncertainty creates pressure. This is why controlled silence often feels heavier than arguments. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations Book 11, paragraph 18, that dignity is preserved when a person refuses to become emotionally corrupted by the behavior of others. That idea carries enormous psychological strength, because many confrontations are not truly about truth or justice. They are emotional traps designed to pull you into chaos. Wise people recognize this quickly. They understand that some individuals are not searching for understanding. They are searching for emotional access. They want your anger, because anger clouds judgment. They want your emotional instability, because unstable people are easier to influence, provoke, and dominate. Silence interrupts this process. But Stoic silence is not passive weakness. It is conscious restraint. There is a difference. Weak silence comes from fear of conflict. Strong silence comes from mastery over impulse. One hides, the other observes, and people instinctively feel that difference. Have you noticed how emotionally reactive individuals often become more aggressive when calmness confronts them? It happens because emotional manipulation loses effectiveness against disciplined minds. When somebody cannot emotionally move you, they start losing psychological control over the interaction. That is why silence can expose insecurity faster than words. The person desperately demanding attention becomes visible. The person emotionally seeking dominance becomes visible. The person trying to provoke reactions becomes visible. And meanwhile, the calm individual preserves something extremely valuable: clarity. Because once emotions take control, clear thinking disappears. This is why Stoics train themselves to pause before reacting. A calm mind sees what emotional minds cannot see: motives, patterns, weaknesses, manipulation, hidden intentions. Most people react first and understand later. The Stoic understands first and reacts only if necessary. And that ability alone separates emotionally disciplined people from emotionally controlled people. The dangerous need to defend your ego. One of the greatest psychological weaknesses a person can have is the constant need to defend their ego. The moment somebody questions their intelligence, status, value, appearance, authority, or importance, they immediately feel attacked. And without realizing it, they become emotionally chained to the opinions of others. This is why so many people live in permanent emotional tension. They are always protecting an image, protecting pride, protecting identity, protecting the version of themselves they desperately want the world to admire. And because of that, they become deeply vulnerable to disrespect. The ego hates humiliation more than almost anything else. It would rather create conflict than accept discomfort. That is why small insults often produce massive emotional reactions. The external situation may be insignificant, but internally, the ego interprets it as a threat to personal value. Stoicism attacks this weakness directly. Seneca understood that emotionally immature people spend enormous amounts of energy defending themselves from things that should never disturb them in the first place. In Letters from a Stoic, Letter 13, he warned against becoming mentally enslaved by imagined threats and wounded pride. Because once the ego becomes dominant, peace disappears. Look carefully at human behavior during arguments. Most conversations stop being about truth within minutes. They become battles for superiority. Nobody wants understanding anymore. They want victory. They want validation. They want emotional dominance. And the ego transforms simple disagreements into emotional warfare. This is why emotionally reactive people often regret their own behavior later. In the heat of wounded pride, they say things they cannot take back. They destroy relationships. They lose dignity. They create enemies. All because the ego demanded immediate defense. But the Stoic sees something differently. Not every insult deserves emotional engagement. Not every criticism deserves suffering. Not every misunderstanding threatens your identity. A secure person does not feel obligated to defend themselves at every moment because their self-worth is not built on unstable external approval. They know who they are even when others fail to recognize it. That creates emotional freedom. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations Book 6, paragraph 52, that the opinion of others cannot truly damage a person unless that person chooses to internalize it. This is one of the most liberating truths in Stoicism, because most emotional pain comes not from events themselves, but from the meaning the ego attaches to them. Someone ignores you and the ego says you are worthless. Someone criticizes you and the ego says you are inferior. Someone disrespects you and the ego says your identity is under attack. But reality is often much simpler. People project their own insecurity constantly. Many insults come from envy, frustration, immaturity, emotional instability, or hidden weakness. Wise people understand this and refuse to absorb unnecessary emotional poison into their minds. This does not mean becoming passive or allowing abuse. Stoicism never teaches weakness. It teaches proportion. Emotional intelligence. the ability to respond with clarity instead of wounded pride. Because there is a massive difference between protecting your dignity and protecting your ego. The ego screams for revenge. Dignity remains composed. The ego wants immediate emotional satisfaction. Dignity values self-control over emotional impulse. And here is the uncomfortable truth most people avoid. The easier it is to offend you, the easier it is to control you. Every emotional trigger becomes a door others can open whenever they want. But the moment you stop needing constant validation, emotional defense, and superiority, something changes inside you. You become far harder to disturb. And a person who cannot be easily disturbed becomes very difficult to defeat. How to train an unbreakable mind. An unbreakable mind is not something a person is born with. It is built through discipline, through repeated moments where you choose self-control instead of impulse. Most people believe mental strength appears during major tragedies, but the truth is far simpler. The mind is shaped daily through small emotional decisions nobody else can see. Every time you react impulsively, you train weakness. Every time you pause before reacting, you train power. This is why Stoics treated the mind like a battlefield requiring constant preparation. Seneca understood that emotional chaos does not suddenly appear during difficult moments. It reveals the lack of inner discipline that already existed long before the pressure arrived. Most people wait until life hurts them before trying to control their emotions. By then, their habits are already deeply rooted. Anger becomes automatic. Anxiety becomes automatic. Defensiveness becomes automatic. Emotional dependence becomes automatic. They are no longer choosing their reactions consciously. Their reactions are choosing them. That is why mental training must happen before emotional storms arrive. The first discipline is learning to create space between stimulus and reaction. When somebody disrespects you, your first emotion is not always trustworthy. The body reacts faster than wisdom. Pride reacts faster than intelligence. This is why emotionally immature people often destroy themselves trying to defend emotions they never stop to examine. The Stoic pauses first. That pause may last seconds, but psychologically it changes everything. Because now emotion no longer has immediate authority over behavior. You begin observing your anger instead of obeying it. You begin questioning your insecurity instead of becoming controlled by it. This is one of the highest forms of self-mastery. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations Book 5, Paragraph 1, that the mind becomes stronger when it acts according to reason instead of emotional resistance. In modern language, this means discipline is built every time you refuse to let temporary emotion dictate permanent behavior. The second discipline is emotional observation. Most people feel emotions without studying them. They instantly become absorbed by anger, fear, humiliation, jealousy, or insecurity. But the disciplined person learns to observe emotions almost like an outside witness. Instead of saying, "I am angry," they silently recognize, "Anger is arising inside me." That small psychological separation weakens emotional control. Now the emotion is no longer your identity. It becomes an internal experience you can analyze instead of blindly serving. The third discipline is controlling physical behavior under pressure. Stoics understood the body and mind constantly influence each other. Fast breathing intensifies anxiety. Aggressive tone intensifies conflict. Restless movements reveal insecurity. Calm posture, controlled breathing, and measured speech help stabilize emotional chaos before it spreads further. This is why powerful people often appear calm even during pressure. They train their nervous system not to surrender immediately to emotional intensity. And the final discipline is protecting your inner world from unnecessary poison. Not every environment deserves access to your energy. Not every conversation deserves emotional investment. Weak minds absorb the emotional chaos of everyone around them. Strong minds choose carefully what enters their thoughts repeatedly, because whatever repeatedly enters the mind eventually shapes character. An unbreakable mind is not emotionless. It still feels pain, disrespect, rejection, and pressure. The difference is that disciplined people do not collapse emotionally every time life becomes uncomfortable. They remain centered, observant, controlled, and over time, this emotional stability creates something most people never develop: Inner authority, the kind of authority that cannot be given by the world and cannot be taken away by it either. When walking away becomes superiority, most people think walking away means losing. They believe strength is proving a point, winning every argument, having the last word, or emotionally defeating the other person in front of everyone. But Stoicism teaches something that completely opposes modern pride. Sometimes the strongest action is refusal. Refusal to participate in chaos. Refusal to argue with emotionally unstable people. Refusal to waste energy trying to explain yourself to minds committed to misunderstanding you. Weak people often interpret emotional restraint as weakness because they only understand power through confrontation. But emotionally disciplined individuals understand that not every battle deserves their attention. Some conflicts only exist to drain peace, provoke reaction, and pull intelligent people into unnecessary emotional exhaustion. Seneca warned repeatedly about the danger of surrounding yourself with destructive minds. In Letters from a Stoic, Letter 7, he explained that human beings absorb the emotional influence of the environments around them. That means constant exposure to chaos slowly corrupts inner stability, even when you believe you are strong enough to resist it. This is why wise people become selective with their energy. They observe how certain individuals constantly create conflict, disrespect, manipulation, drama, or emotional tension. And instead of trying to fix everyone, they protect their peace by creating distance. Most people fail here because their ego cannot tolerate leaving without emotional victory. They feel the need to defend themselves one more time, explain themselves one more time, prove themselves one more time. But many situations cannot be solved through explanation because the problem was never misunderstanding. The problem was emotional immaturity, and emotionally immature people often interpret calmness as permission to continue provoking. That is why Stoicism never teaches passive surrender. It teaches intelligent detachment. There is a difference. The Stoic knows when to speak firmly, knows when to establish boundaries, knows when to remove himself completely. Because remaining in toxic environments out of pride, guilt, attachment, or emotional dependence slowly destroys mental clarity. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations Book 4, paragraph 24, that the mind becomes shaped by the company it repeatedly keeps. That truth becomes painfully visible over time. People who constantly surround themselves with negativity eventually start thinking negatively. People constantly surrounded by emotional instability slowly lose emotional balance themselves. This is why walking away can become an act of self-respect. Not cowardice, not weakness. Self-respect. A person who truly values peace stops needing emotional victory in every interaction. They no longer feel obligated to react to every insult, correct every false opinion, or carry every emotional burden handed to them by unstable people. And this creates a form of silent superiority that deeply confuses emotionally reactive individuals. Because emotionally reactive people expect resistance, they expect anger, they expect emotional participation. But when somebody calmly removes themselves from the chaos without hatred, fear, or desperation, the entire psychological dynamic collapses. Now there is nothing left to control, nothing left to provoke, nothing left to dominate emotionally. And here is what makes this powerful. Walking away does not always mean physically leaving a room. Sometimes it means emotionally withdrawing your energy from situations that no longer deserve access to your peace. That decision changes a person internally, because the moment you stop needing emotional conflict to prove your strength, you begin developing a kind of composure that most people never reach, the composure of someone who no longer needs chaos to feel powerful. The respect that comes without asking. There is a type of person who enters a room and immediately changes the atmosphere without raising their voice, demanding attention, or trying to impress anyone. People feel their presence before they fully understand it. Not because of status, not because of appearance, not because of fear. It comes from something far deeper, inner stability. Most people spend their lives trying to force respect externally because they never developed it internally. They believe respect comes from intimidation, aggression, money, popularity, or constant validation. But those forms of respect are fragile because they disappear the moment circumstances change. Stoicism teaches that true respect cannot be demanded. It emerges naturally from self-mastery. People instinctively observe emotional behavior. They notice who loses control easily, who becomes desperate for approval, who reacts impulsively to criticism, who constantly seeks attention. And they also notice the opposite, the person who remains composed under pressure, the person who speaks carefully instead of emotionally, the person who does not collapse when ignored, rejected, or challenged. That kind of emotional discipline creates silent authority. Seneca believed the strongest individuals were not those who dominated others, but those who dominated themselves. In On the Shortness of Life, chapter 13, he warned that people waste enormous amounts of life chasing external recognition while neglecting the development of their own character. This is why many individuals appear powerful, but feel emotionally fragile inside. Their confidence depends entirely on external reactions. Praise strengthens them temporarily. Criticism weakens them instantly. Their emotional state changes according to how the world treats them. But a person grounded internally becomes different. They stop needing to constantly prove their intelligence, prove their value, prove their importance. That emotional independence creates a calm presence that others naturally respect because it cannot be easily shaken. And here is something uncomfortable most people never realize. Excessive self-defense often reduces respect instead of increasing it. The more desperately someone tries to convince others of their value, the more insecurity becomes visible beneath the surface. Real confidence rarely needs performance. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, Book 3, Paragraph 4, that a person's worth is revealed through the quality of their mind and actions, rather than public opinion. That principle completely changes how someone approaches disrespect. Instead of obsessing over controlling how others see them, they begin focusing on controlling who they become internally. And that changes behavior naturally. They stop arguing unnecessarily, stop reacting impulsively, stop begging for understanding from emotionally immature people, stop allowing disrespect to emotionally destabilize them. Over time, this emotional consistency creates trust, weight, and presence. People begin recognizing strength without needing explanation, not because the Stoic demanded respect, but because disciplined behavior quietly communicated it. This is why emotional control is one of the most attractive forms of power in human behavior. Calmness under pressure signals security. Measured speech signals confidence. Self-restraint signals intelligence. And people instinctively respect individuals who clearly govern themselves. Not everyone will admire you. Not everyone will understand you. Not everyone will respect you. Stoicism never promises universal approval. What it offers is something far more valuable: freedom from emotional dependence on the approval of unstable minds. And the moment a person reaches that state, they stop chasing respect. Ironically, that is often when genuine respect finally begins to appear. The power no one can steal. The world will continue testing you for the rest of your life. Some people will disrespect you openly. Others will try to diminish you through silence, mockery, rejection, betrayal, or humiliation. There will always be individuals projecting their own chaos onto others because they never learned how to govern themselves internally. You cannot control that. But Stoicism was never about controlling the world. It was about controlling yourself while living inside it. This is the lesson most people spend decades avoiding. External power is fragile. Reputation changes. Status disappears. Applause fades. Public admiration shifts constantly according to trends, emotions, envy, and convenience. A person who builds identity entirely on external recognition will always live emotionally vulnerable to forces outside their control. Seneca warned about this repeatedly because he understood how dangerous emotional dependence becomes. The person addicted to validation slowly loses freedom without noticing it. Every criticism becomes a wound. Every rejection becomes suffering. Every insult becomes an emotional crisis. But the disciplined mind develops a different kind of strength, a strength that does not collapse under disrespect, a strength that does not beg for recognition, a strength that remains grounded even when surrounded by chaos. This does not mean becoming cold, arrogant, or emotionless. Stoicism never teaches emotional death. It teaches emotional authority, the ability to feel emotions without becoming enslaved by them. That changes how a person walks through life. Now insults become information instead of destruction. Criticism becomes observation instead of identity. Rejection becomes redirection instead of emotional collapse. And most importantly, other people lose the power to easily disturb inner peace. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, Book 8, paragraph 47, that the soul becomes damaged not by external events themselves, but by the judgment it forms about those events. That idea contains enormous freedom, because it means peace is not something granted by the world. It is something protected internally through discipline, awareness, and self-control. Most people never reach this level because emotional reaction feels easier than emotional mastery. Anger feels powerful in the moment. Defending the ego feels satisfying in the moment. Revenge feels justified in the moment. But moments pass quickly. Character remains. And character is built through repeated emotional choices. Every time you refuse unnecessary conflict, you strengthen discipline. Every time you remain calm under pressure, you strengthen clarity. Every time you choose self-control over impulse, you strengthen freedom. This is why Stoicism is not weakness. It is resistance against emotional slavery. The world expects emotional reactions from you constantly. It expects outrage, defensiveness, insecurity, desperation for approval. But the person who learns to remain centered while others lose themselves emotionally becomes extremely rare. And rare people are difficult to replace, difficult to manipulate, difficult to intimidate. There is a quiet power that appears when your peace no longer depends on external treatment. You stop fearing disrespect because you understand something most people never learn. Another person's behavior reveals their character. Your reaction reveals yours. That realization changes everything. Because now life is no longer about controlling how others behave toward you. It becomes about protecting the integrity of your own mind, regardless of how the world behaves around you. And the person who achieves that becomes untouchable in the deepest psychological sense. Not because life stops testing them, but because their inner world no longer collapses every time the test begins.